Hi everyone, today is Tuesday, December 2nd. I hope that all of my friends in the US had a wonderful holiday. We had a really fun time. We spent the weekend with Tyson's side of the family and we got to eat a lot of good food and have some really good family time. So I hope that you did as well. I just wanted to hop on and share an empties video. It has been quite a while since I've shared an empties video, and I decided that starting in the fall, I would go ahead and save my empties so that I could share them with you. So I do have my Wicked bag here that is full of empties that I've been saving for the past few months. So I will go ahead and dive in. So for the most part, these bars will be going backwards in time, and most recently I warmed a bar of Joy and Wonder. This was in the Always Get My Bar promotion in Scentsy Club, and this is one that I wanted to revisit to see if I needed to add it to my Scentsy Club. This is a very, very nice, deep, spiced berry scent. This has some kind of incense notes. And so I think this is a really good one for around Christmas or like the later part of December. We warmed this in our downstairs while we were decorating for Christmas, and it was really, really nice. It was a great performer. I decided that I didn't need to add it to my club. I do have a few more bars of this in my stash, so I will enjoy those. This actually reminded me quite a bit of Ring the Bell, the Haunted Mansion scent that was released this fall. So if you like those kind of deep spiced berry scents, I hope that you got a chance to try Joy and Wonder. And then also part of that Always Get My Bar promotion was Snow Kissed Cranberry. So this was kind of an old juicy bar that I had when it was originally released as a scent of the month. I warmed this in our bedroom, and this is such a nice, very perfumey body care kind of super sweet cranberry. I actually have quite a bit of this in my stash, so I didn't end up adding it to my Scentsy Club, but this is a really, really nice kind of bedroom scent to reach for in the winter. And then as we were decorating for Christmas upstairs, I warmed a bar of Holiday Market. So this was originally part of the holiday collection last year, I believe, and then they brought it back in the catalog this year, and I am so happy. I had actually put this in my club, but this is such a good scent. So this is a very, very nice, sophisticated, spiced holiday cider kind of scent. It is very fruity, very holiday. I think this has allspice in it, but this is so pleasant. I actually took a room spray of Holiday Market down to Tyson's dad's house, and we used that in our room while we were staying there, and I just think it smells so, so good. So this will actually be going back into my club at the end of the season. I also went through a bar of Mint to Be Merry. So I was trying to decide if I wanted to keep this one in my club or Marshmallow Mint, and spoiler alert, I actually decided to keep Mint to Be Merry in my club. This was a scent of the month last year or 2 years ago, and it is so, so good. This is one that I think they should have brought back in the catalog. This is a very nice, like sweet vanilla cookie scent with a beautiful, beautiful sweet peppermint. It is so pleasant. I warmed this in my office, and it is a great performer. So I really like Mint to Be Merry. I think it's kind of unique when it comes to the sweet peppermint scents, just because it does have that little hint of cookie, and it is very, very well done. So that was Mint to Be Merry. And then here's a bar of Cinnamon Roasted Pear. So this was also part of that Always Get My Bar promotion. Most of these bars toward the top of this empties pile will have been part of that promotion, just because, again, I was trying to get through some older bars in my stash to see if I needed to add them back to my Scentsy Club. Cinnamon Roasted Pear is one that I had in my Scentsy Club long ago. I ended up taking it out just because I had built up kind of a stash of it and had kind of grown out of the scent, but it was really, really nice to revisit this. This was an old bar. It was quite juicy, so it was time to use this up. This was just a very, very nice harvest roasted spiced pear scent. Very, very pleasant. It actually reminded me a lot of Autumn Hearth. So I think if I have something like that in my collection, I'll be good. I didn't end up adding this back to my club, but it was very, very pleasant. Here's one that I actually did add to my club. This is Fall Feelin'. So I think I had 2 of these bars in my stash, and I was really happy that this promotion came along because it prompted me to dig them out and warm through them. And this is such a pleasant scent. Now I know this is kind of hit or miss for people, but this is just a very kind of clean, bright, spiced fall scent. It's really, really pleasant. It's kind of on like the potpourri side of things, but it just made my house smell very clean and fall-like, and I really, really liked it. So I did end up adding this one to my club. I have a bar of vanilla barnwood. So this is another one that I was kind of assessing. This is a really pleasant scent. It's kind of a little odd for me. I warmed this bar in my bedroom. It smells good, but there is something kind of bakery about this. It almost smells like Fruit Loops a little bit, where I think I would just prefer the like cashmere amber notes in this. So it's very pleasant, but I didn't feel like I needed to add that one to my club. From the new trio of Wicked bars that were released this fall, I did finish this bar of Friends for Good. So this was the purple bar. And this is a really, really pleasant scent. So I didn't end up finishing the other 2 bars that were in that little set, but I warmed this one in my bedroom. And it's really nice. So the pink scent is a very, very straightforward bubblegum scent. This also has a strawberry note that I think is kind of making this one smell a little bit like bubblegum too, but it's not quite as in your face. This is maybe more of like a perfumey bubblegum scent. So it was very pleasant. I don't think that I'll need to add this one to my club. And that reminds me that Scentsy announced that they are actually ending their partnership with Universal. So that will include the Wicked collection. So we actually won't be able to keep any Universal licensed bars in our club for much longer, and that does include the Wicked bars. So this was very nice, but I think that I will be able to live without it. All right, here is an old bar. This is Autumn Hearth. So this was also very juicy. This was very fun to revisit. This is one, when it was in the catalog, I always felt like I didn't really need it. It was just kind of like a generic fall spiced fruity scent to me, but it's actually really pleasant. And I feel like we're kind of missing something classic like this in the catalog right now. So I wish that they would have kept this in the catalog. It was very nice. I don't think I added it to my permanent club, but I did stock up a little bit on Autumn Hearth. All right, here's a bar of Dutch apple bread. This is very pleasant. So again, like a spiced fruity scent. This smells a lot like a apple pie, kind of like the apple pie filling. It's very, very pleasant. I had this in my club for a little bit. I built up quite the stash, so I didn't need to add it back to my club, but it is a fun one to warm in the fall. I also warmed Jeweled Pomegranate. So this is one that I was really considering putting in my club. This is a very, very pretty kind of festive holiday pomegranate scent. I warmed this in my bedroom and it was a very good performer. I just feel like there are other like spiced fruit or spiced berry scents that I prefer to Jeweled Pomegranate, and I actually still have a brick of this. So I didn't need to put it in my club, but it was very, very pleasant. All right, here's a bar of the original Wicked scent, Emerald City, and I love this scent. This is actually one that I was considering putting in my club. But since it's going away, I might just stock up a little bit on this one while we still can. I was warming Merry Wonderland in my bathroom today, and I kept getting whiffs of that reminded me a lot of the Emerald City bar. So I think if I have some Merry Wonderland on hand, it will kind of scratch this itch. But this is a very, very pleasant, like spiced cranberry scent. It's beautiful for around Thanksgiving in the fall. And so I'm actually kind of sad to see this one go. All right, here's my bar of Marshmallow Mint. This is actually a very, very pleasant scent. And I really like it in my bedroom. It's a very soft, sweet marshmallow mint scent. My husband did say that it smelled like bakery when I was warming this in our bedroom. So he doesn't really like bakery scents or minty scents. So I think I would stick to my office for a scent like this, but it was very, very pleasant. All right, here's an older bar I decided to finish. This was a Scentspirations collection bar, Christmas Cottage Mint. This was just kind of a strange combination of scents to me. So Christmas Cottage is very like cinnamony, spicy, with a little hint of fruit. And then the addition of mint just kind of throws it off for me. So I didn't love this scent. I warmed it in our bathroom and I was kind of glad to be done with that one. All right, here's a bar of cranberry and cardamom. So this had been in our catalog and then it didn't return, but it did return with the Always Get My Bar promotion. And this is such a good scent. This is a very sophisticated, warm, kind of perfumey cranberry. It's a really, really good performer, and this is one that I will keep in my Scentsy club. All right, here's another bar of Dutch apple bread, and here's my bar of November's scent of the month, Cocoa Cashmere. So I warmed this in our bedroom, and I really, really liked it. It was very pleasant. I could smell it. It was a really good performer. There's something about it that reminds me of French Kiss. It's very kind of sultry, romantic. You do get those kind of ambery cashmere notes. I don't get a ton of really obvious chocolate or cocoa, but there is just something kind of sweet about this scent. It doesn't smell bakery to me at all. It is just very perfumey, very cozy. I think this is a really nice bedroom scent for the winter. I finished an old bar of Golden Garland. So this was part of the Always Get My Bar promotion. This kind of has that like funky outdoors fall note that I don't really love from Scentsy. It kind of reminds me of Autumn Road Trip, but there's just something a little sour about this scent. So I was okay not adding that one to my Scentsy club. I warmed through another bar of Fall Feelin'. Love that one. This was from this year's Scent of the Season collection. This is Sweet Christmas Lily. So this was a very, very pleasant scent. It smells very perfumey, very soft and floral, but not too powdery. It's just a very, very pretty, soft, feminine floral. I warmed this in our bedroom and I could smell it just fine, even though it is kind of a softer scent. I don't think that I need this one in my Scentsy club, but it was very pleasant. The only other thing that I'll say about this one is that there's nothing about this that really screams Christmas to me or even winter to me. This definitely feels more kind of like a springtime bar. So I think it was kind of a weird addition to the Scents of the Season, but it is a very, very pleasant scent. All right, here is a bar of an old favorite, Cider Mill. So this is in the fall winter catalog all the time. It is just a perfect spiced apple pumpkin scent. Very, very nice, especially when you're starting to get the itch to warm fall scents. This is a really fun go-to. I went through a bar of vanilla chestnut, so I actually warmed this on Halloween. This was part of the Always Get My Bar promotion. This was a scent of the month, and I really, really liked it because it is very, very deep. There's something kind of spiced patchouli about this scent that I think turned a lot of people off. I really, really like it for like the cold part of fall. So that is in my club. That is vanilla chestnut. I went through a bar of frosted vanilla. So this is one that I was seriously reconsidering in the Scentsy Club promotion. This is a really nice combination, I think, of vanilla and birch. So it is kind of woodsy. There's nothing like minty about this, but it does feel kind of outdoorsy. It was pleasant, but I didn't need to add it back to my Scentsy club. I went through a bar of Tahitian Black Orchid. So this is a very old bar. I've said this before, this is a pleasant enough scent, but I just cannot get it to perform in my house. So I tried to warm this in my bedroom and I could not smell it. So this is one that just will not be a repurchase for me. I finished a bar of root beer float. So this was back during the Halloween season. This is just such a fun scent. I always associate root beer with Halloween, but this would also be a really fun scent for the summer. This is a sweet root beer. So you do get that like sassafras note, but there is kind of something sweet and creamy about this. This was really pleasant. I warmed this in our kitchen and it was very, very fun. I warmed through a bar of Apple Harvest Dreams. This was part of the Harvest collection this year. And this is a very nice spiced apple scent. It actually reminds me a lot of a current scent in the catalog, Apple Spice Season. It kind of reminds me of a mix between Apple Spice Season and the Evil Queen Just One Bite scent. there's something about this that kind of smells like vitamins to me. So it was very pleasant, but I don't think this would be a repurchase. I went through Blankets of Love. I think that this is part of the 10 new releases for this catalog. This actually reminds me a lot of Velvet Moon from years past, mixed with a little bit of Fluffy Fleece. And there's something in Fluffy Fleece that I really, really don't like. And unfortunately, I'm picking up that same note in Blankets of Love. So I think if you like those kind of soft, powdery, floral scents, you should definitely give Blankets of Love a try, but it would not be a repurchase for me. So this bar was so juicy that I had to put it in a little Ziploc bag because it was leaking all over everything. This is Sugar and Spice. So this is a really old bar and actually showed up again. I think it was in a clearance update a few months ago. So I was able to restock a little bit on this. This is just like pure sweet black licorice. And it's another scent that I really like to reach for around Halloween just because it is kind of fun and different. I hate the taste of black licorice, but I think the smell around Halloween is really fun. And then here we have a bar of Peanuts, Snoopy's Autumn Adventure. So this was a fun one for the fall. It actually reminds me a lot of a mix of the Frightfully Delightful Disney scent with a little bit of First Day of Fall. So First Day of Fall is very like nutmeg forward. And I feel like I pick up a lot of that, especially when this was warming. It reminded me a lot of First Day of Fall. So that was a fun one. I have a bar of Alpine Escape. So this was actually an old like partial bar that I was just trying to use up. This is a catalog scent. And this is so, so pleasant. So I actually warmed this in our downstairs guest room. It is the like cleanest, freshest, outdoor piney kind of scent. There's something a little minty or maybe a little bit like eucalyptus about this that just makes it feel very, very fresh and invigorating. But this is very, very pleasant. This is definitely a repurchase for me. I have a bar of Sparkling Spice Citrus. So this was new last year and then they brought it back in the catalog this year. And this is such a pleasant scent. This is a very bright, juicy, kind of fall citrus scent. I don't pick up a ton of spice in this. It's just more of like a bright, juicy fall citrus and I love it. This would actually be one that I will add to my Scentsy Club at the end of the season. So I believe it was back in October that Scentsy had a flash sale and the Willy Wonka collection of bars was in that sale. I had not picked that up when it was originally released and so it was actually offered at a really good price. So I did decide to pick that collection up and part of that collection was Violet's Turning Violet and I warmed this back around Halloween in my bedroom and bathroom and this is a very interesting scent. So I think it's the blueberry note in here that actually reminds me a lot of the blueberry note that is in Fairy Tale Pumpkin. But then there is this kind of weird note that I've heard described as like Flintstone vitamins, and I can definitely pick that up too. So this was kind of a weird one. This wouldn't be a repurchase for me, but it was just kind of like a fun, funky scent to warm around Halloween. I have a bar of Falling Apples. So we've seen this pop up in several like flash sales and clearance sections. And when this was first released as part of a fall catalog, I really liked it. But then over time, there's just something a little perfumey about this scent that kind of like gives me a headache. So I revisited this one just because I picked up a bundle in October that included a warmer and like 6 apple scents. This was one of them. I decided to revisit it. It was pleasant, but not a repurchase for me. I don't know, something changed about my nose with that one. I finished an old bar of Pixie. So I think this was part of a Bring Back My Bar. And to me, this was just kind of a nondescript, like perfumey, ambery bedroom scent. it was pleasant, but there was nothing really special about the scent or really anything that stood out to me that would make this be a repurchase for me. I warmed through a bar of Zombie Punch. So this was released as part of the Harvest collection. And this is very, very fruity. So this was originally a Halloween scent for Region 3, Australia and New Zealand. And they are opposite seasons from us here in Region 1. So this just didn't fit my mood when I was warming this like in October. It's very, very fruity. This definitely smells like a fruit punch kind of scent. Really fun for like summertime. I just wish there was like a little twist to this, maybe like a little hint of spice or something that just would make this feel a little bit more Halloween-y to me. But it was a very, very fun scent and the packaging was really cute. I went through a bar of Pumpkin Honey Spice. So this was part of this year's Harvest collection. And this is a very, very sweet pumpkin spice scent. The sweetness in this scent is almost like sickeningly sweet. It's very, very saturated. And so this wouldn't be a repurchase for me, but it was, fun to try. I went through a bar of Painted Leaves. This is one of my all-time favorite fall scents. I love this for around Thanksgiving when it's like cold fall. It's so vibrant and like invigorating. It's very woodsy, but I get a lot of like a minty freshness from this too. Mint is not listed in the scent notes, but there's something very, very outdoorsy and fresh about this scent. It reminds me a lot of Sweater Weather from Bath and Body Works. And every time I warm it, my husband comments on it because he does not like those like fresh, minty kind of outdoorsy scents. But I really, really like Painted Leaves. My mom really, really likes Painted Leaves. So I am going to keep this in my club and I just will warm it when my husband's not around. All right, this is an old juicy bar of Quiet Grove. This has actually been in my club since it was part of the catalog years ago. And it's not supposed to be this color. It's actually supposed to be this color. But the bars that I've been getting recently in my Scentsy Club orders have all been this really like putrid green color. It doesn't really affect the smell, but they are all super, super juicy. And like I said, like putrid green. And so I don't really look forward to warming this one just because it looks and feels so gross when I'm changing the wax. But it is one of my favorite scents for the fall. It is a very fresh, clean scent. I love this in like bedrooms and bathrooms in the fall time. You have that in your club, or if you ordered it recently, please let me know the condition of the bars that you've gotten, if you've gotten fresh pours. All right, and then next up we have Cider and Crimson Berries. And I believe this was part of the Harvest collection this year. I get this one and the kind of like spiced fruity scent from the holiday collection mixed up, but I'm pretty sure this was part of the Harvest collection. This is very, very fruity. When I warmed it, it almost smelled kind of like a summery like fruit salad, but there is just like this hint of fall spice. Maybe this is kind of what I wanted Zombie Punch to smell like, but I've heard a lot of people really, really like this one. To me, it was just okay, but I could see how people would really, really enjoy that one. Here's a bar of Sparkling Spiced Citrus. So I was definitely in my sparkling spiced citrus era. All right, here's a bar of Sweet Tidings. So this was part of the holiday limited time releases that they were doing weekly, like toward the end of October into November. And I was so excited for this one because I usually really do like spiced orange scents. This one definitely is different. It has a bakery note. When I first smelled it, it reminded me of like the bakery note that's in Cutie Pie Cupcake, but like with a winter spin. I had this warming in our upstairs and it was very strong. I will give it that. We could actually smell it downstairs when it was warming upstairs, and we really didn't like it. So my husband commented that it smelled like bakery, and that's really mostly what I got when this was warming. I was hoping that more of like the orange would come out because it actually does have a really, really nice like authentic orange scent if you can get past the like sweet bakery note, but it was just kind of like all bakery to us. So I only left it in the warmers for a few minutes after it had melted because we just couldn't stand it. And I actually had to go through my warmers and clean them out with rubbing alcohol to like get the scent out of them. So I feel really bad saying that. And I had actually purchased 3 of these bars because I thought that I would really like the scent. And the name is so cute, but it was just that bakery edition that kind of threw this one off for me. So it's not a horrible scent. We just don't like bakery smells. And that's mostly what we picked up with Sweet Tidings. So you'll have to let me know what you thought of that one. All right, here's a bar of Snowed In Flannel. I think this was part of the holiday collection. And this is pleasant. It's very light, a little powdery. I warmed this in our bedroom, and I just remember not being super wowed by it. So it is very pleasant, kind of, like I said, like a light, powdery, warm, fuzzy kind of scent, but just one that I don't think would be a repurchase for me. All right, I warmed through a bar of Velvet Cashmere Woods. This is a new release for this fall winter catalog, and this is so pleasant. A lot of people have compared this to Pacific Sandalwood, and I think it definitely shares some of those notes. I think this has just a little bit more of like that sweet vanilla marshmallow note, and it is very, very pleasant. I really like that in my bedroom. I warmed through a bar of Spiced Pecan Cream. I think this was part of the Harvest collection this year. And this is very, very rich. This is a very rich, saturated bakery scent. I'm almost getting a little hint of like a maple kind of note. And it was just a little too sweet for me, but I could see how bakery lovers would really like that one. I finished a bar of Leaves and Lavender. I think this was a partial bar that I finished in our bathroom. This is a very unique kind of scent because it actually does smell a little herbal with the lavender. So this actually smells to me like a pile of dried leaves. It's very pleasant, but I think I have to be in the mood for this one because that lavender does make this feel very like earthy and herbal. So that is Leaves and Lavender. I finished a bar of the Harry Potter Wizarding World scent. This is a very nice like cologne type scent, very masculine. There's a little hint of sweetness in this. It's very pleasant. I warmed this in our downstairs bathroom and it was very nice. This is an old bar of Rise and Sunshine. So this was kind of juicy. This was a scent of the month. I think it was a scent of the month sometime in the summer, but this smells very like spiced citrus to me. So this is one that I like to reach for like at the beginning of fall when I'm kind of craving fall scents. That's nice. This is a little juicy. I finished a bar of Candy Crave. So I actually added this one to my club. This is such a pleasant, like perfumey, blue raspberry cotton candy type scent. It's very light, but I actually like it in my bedroom for that reason. It's very light, just kind of a pleasant, sweet background scent. And my husband really likes that one too. Here's another bar of Cider Mill. Here's a bar of Cozy Vanilla and Pumpkin. So I was just kind of trying to go through some older bars in my stash, and this was really pleasant. There's something very like deep about this one. Very like almost deep and earthy about the pumpkin note in this. It is a very nice spiced scent. So I wouldn't mind seeing Cozy Vanilla and Pumpkin back. I went through Falling Leaves. I can't remember if this was part of the Always Get My Bar promotion or not, but this is a very nice like spiced patchouli kind of fall scent. I've always toyed with the idea of either keeping this one in my club or Vanilla Chestnut, and I go back and forth. I think I prefer the scent of Falling Leaves just a little to the scent of Vanilla Chestnut, but this is kind of a light performer for me, and I like to warm it in like our upstairs open concept type area. So if only it were a little bit stronger, but it is very, very pleasant, and we don't get to see a lot of these like deep patchouli kind of scents from Scentsy. So when we do, I like to throw them in my club. I finished a bar of Hemingway. So this is like a woodsy apple potpourri kind of scent. It leans a little masculine. I warmed this in our downstairs family room and it is very pleasant. And then another bar from the Willy Wonka collection. This is Fizzy Lifting Drink. This is super, super pleasant. This is just very, very bright, sweet, candy-like fruity. Kind of like a candied strawberry type scent. This was really, really pleasant, and this actually would be a repurchase for me. And then the last bar that I have here is Moonlight Whisper. So this was from the Harvest collection this year, and it was a really pretty color wax. This is a very pleasant kind of cinnamon woodsy scent. And I warmed this in our downstairs family room, and it was just a very nice kind of pleasant, almost like potpourri kind of light background scent. So this probably would be a repurchase for me. Not necessarily a club purchase, but if I saw that again, I would probably grab a few. So those were the bars that I got through. And then I did get through a few scent circles. So from the new releases in this catalog, my favorite scent is White Oak Woodland, and I went through 2 scent circles in my car. This is so pleasant in the wax form. It's so pleasant in the scent circle, and for me, it's a pretty good performer. These actually still smell really good. I was actually going through a drive-through and the girl complimented the scent of my car, and she actually asked if she could take a picture of the scent circle because it smelled so good. So that is a wonderful endorsement of White Oak Woodland. And then I don't know if you have Swig in your area. I think it was actually a Swig employee who complimented my White Oak Woodland scent circle. But in the month of October, they were doing a breast cancer fundraiser, and they were selling, I think it was just a 2-pack of car air fresheners. And so I did pick these up. They are scented, I think it was in Canyon Coconut, and the packaging was super, super cute. These actually smell very, very pleasant. This is a very like summer coconut kind of scent, but I thought it was fun and went to a good cause. So those were the air fresheners that I used from Swig in October. And then most recently in my car, I had used Vanilla Mint. So this is actually an old scent circle. This is a long discontinued scent, and this is a scent that I think a lot of people would love to see back. I would love to have more wax bars of this, but this is such a pleasant scent circle. This was a very, very good performer. This is a very like herbal mint and vanilla. It doesn't smell like edible at all, like marshmallow mint. This is very, very herbal, and it is so pleasant. It is so fresh, and I just really love the packaging of that. So that was Vanilla Mint. And then I did finish a small tub of washer whiffs in Shimmer. I really, really like this scent. It's a great performer. It stays on our sheets for a really long time. I would love to see the washer whiffs back in Shimmer. Okay, and then I just have 2 items left, and they are both candles. So the first one is actually a really old Yankee candle that I've been holding on to for a few years. This was a really cute like tri-colored candle. It had Witch's Brew, Haunted Hayride, and Forbidden Macintosh. And this label was really cute too, because as it heated up, the colors changed. And I just thought it was super, super cute. So this was a really great scent because I love Witch's Brew. I wish Scentsy would do just a pure like sweet patchouli scent. That's what Witch's Brew is. The patchouli that they've done before, like Simply Patchouli, was very, very earthy patchouli, and it was just a little too much for me. But Witch's Brew is a very sweet patchouli, and I would love to see Scentsy do something like that. So I love, love, love the scent of this candle. The performance at the beginning left something to be desired. This tunneled like crazy, and I think I did take some pictures or videos, so I will try to include those here. But eventually it corrected itself and like it did just fine, and then kind of like self-extinguished here. But I was trying to get through some of my fall candles, and this is one of the only ones that I actually ended up finishing. And then the other candle that I did finish this fall was my first Scentsy candle. So this was in Cider Mill, and this is having a hard time focusing, but I was actually quite impressed with this candle. I know reviews are kind of mixed, feelings are kind of mixed about the Scentsy candles, but this was actually very, very pleasant. This is a scent that I could smell while it was burning. And the thing that I will say about the Scentsy candles is that it was quite a clean burn. So it did leave a little bit of residue on the side, and you can kind of tell, you know, the intervals where I burned it. But I felt like the burn was overall very clean. The throw was really good, and my wicks were kind of unevenly spaced, and it still did a fine job. So I was actually quite impressed with this. I would repurchase a Scentsy candle based on my experience with this candle. So you'll have to let me know if you have had a chance to try the Scentsy candles and what your thoughts are. So that is everything in my bag of empties for the fall. I'm very excited for December and getting into some of my favorite Christmas scents. So you'll have to let me know what some of your favorites were for the fall and what you're looking forward to warming in December. And I will talk to you later. Thank you so much for watching.